We often hear that the creation of life of man is all the result of chance and time. But is that really the case? Let's take a closer look. It's claimed that life arose from inanimate matter, yet there isn't a single example of life ever emerging from non-life. No experiment, no observation, nothing. Life only comes from life. That's a law of nature. And yet this law of nature supposedly had an exception at the very beginning. They say all living things today evolved from single-celled organisms. A human has about 37 trillion cells. We know of single-celled organisms like bacteria, but did you know that there are no 2, 3, or 5-celled organisms? So how could a human have evolved from a single-celled organism to a being with 37 trillion cells? Where are the organisms with 2 or 3 cells? So supposedly, we go directly from one cell to a complex organism without any proof. And that leaves one simple question. Which developed first, the male or the female life form? How did the first complex organisms reproduce? Did the male and female life forms evolve at the same time? Really? What an amazing coincidence. And then that they both fit together perfectly so they could reproduce. We're told that time and chance drove evolution. But the longer the time, the more improbable order becomes through chance. The probability of a single protein with 100 amino acids forming by chance is practically zero. Time and chance don't make the origin of life possible, they make it impossible. So if time and chance don't create new life forms, the question is, where does the diversity in nature come from? They show us cats of different colors, dogs of different sizes, and say, see, that's evolution. The theory of evolution tells us that at some point, a few bacteria in a mud puddle joined together, evolved from single-celled to multi-celled, from aquatic life to land animals, from fish with gills to mammals with lungs, all the way to humans. But the big problem is, there's simply no evidence for it. There's a huge gap in the fossil record. The layers of the earth should be teeming with fossilized transitional forms. We have single-celled organisms, we have humans, but no transitional forms that show the path from a cell to a thinking human being. And yet this gap is simply ignored, because the alternative would be uncomfortable: God. But what about the cats, the dogs, the many colors and sizes? These small changes within a species are called microevolution. But you can't deduce from that fish became cows or that apes became humans. As the name already says, it's called the theory of evolution. So it's not a fact, but an opinion that is taught in school. And believe me, this opinion has been changed many times. In fact, the theory of evolution has changed again and again over time. Since Darwin, much has been added, adapted, or even refuted. Today we talk about the modern theory of evolution because it's constantly evolving depending on the latest scientific discoveries. Gregor Mendel, the father of genetics, showed in his experiments with peas that traits are inherited according to fixed rules. The information for this already exists and can only be recombined, not newly created. So there can be differences and diversity, but only within a species. So a cow can't become a horse. And while we're on the subject of genes, in human DNA we see something that defies all chance. Human DNA contains 3.1 billion units of information, a complete blueprint for life. If you were to print it out with 500 words per page, it would create 600,000 pages printed on both sides. For comparison, before Wikipedia and the internet, the Brockhaus was considered the largest encyclopedia. It consisted of 24 volumes with a total of more than 24,500 pages. So all the printed knowledge that you can find online today with a single click. The DNA would therefore correspond to 25 complete editions of the Brockhaus. Yet some people say it all came about by chance after an explosion. That would be like an explosion happening in a print shop, and afterwards you suddenly find 25 complete editions of the Brockhaus, sorted, bound, and fresh off the press. So you see, DNA is not a coincidence. DNA is information, a code. Where does the code come from? The DNA that is inside a cell so that the cell knows what to do. Did that also come about by chance? No, because every time we trace information, a code, back to its source, it doesn't lead us to matter or a random event, but to a thinking mind, a programmer, always. So I don't have enough faith to believe in all that. Do you know how I explain the origin of man instead? In the first book of Moses, chapter 1, verse 27, it says that God created man in his own image. Male and female, he created them. There we have the thinking mind, the programmer, our creator, and God, Jesus Christ.